Welcome to Vacation Quest. Today we're ranking Louisiana's top 15 best small towns. From a town where frogs went to space, a jail that looks like a Gothic castle, and a plantation built by a man George Washington wanted arrested. 15 small towns, one state. Let's see which town wins. Number 15, Zwolle. Population, about 1,600. Zwolle's signature food isn't gumbo or crawfish, it's tamales. Not Mexican-style tamales. These trace back to the Choctaw Apache tribe that originally inhabited this land, later blended with Spanish colonial influence. Colonial Spanish was still spoken here into the 1970s. Every October, the Zwolle Tamale Fiesta draws more than 15,000 people to a town of 1,600, with tamale-making demonstrations, a tamale-eating contest, a parade, and a mud bog competition. The tradition has been running since 1975, and the tamale recipe itself goes back to the early 1700s. Number 14, Gibsland. Population, around 770. On May 23, 1934, Bonnie Parker and Clyde Barrow stopped at a cafe in Gibsland and ordered breakfast to go. A few miles down the road, 6 lawmen, who had been hiding in the woods for 2 days, opened fire. The car took 167 bullets. News spread so fast that Gibsland's population went from roughly 2,000 to 12,000 within hours. The Bonnie and Clyde Ambush Museum now sits in that same cafe building, Ma Canfield's, with the coroner's table, artifacts from the death car, and Clyde's saxophone. Every May, the town stages a bank robbery reenactment. The ambush site is about 8 miles south on Highway 154, marked with a roadside sign where visitors still leave flowers. Number 13, Washington. Population, around 740. Founded in 1764 as a French trading post, Washington is the third oldest settlement in Louisiana. For most of the 1800s, it was the largest inland steamboat port between New Orleans and St. Louis. The last steamboat left in 1900, and Washington never really grew past that era. About 80% of the town is on the National Historic Register. The old steamboat warehouse on Bayou Courtableau still stands and operates as a restaurant. Ghost hunter teams have recorded unexplained audio there for years. Whistles, conversations, singing from inside an empty building. Number 12, Mamou. Population, about 2,900. Fred's Lounge has been open since the 1940s and only operates on Saturday mornings, with live Cajun music broadcast on the radio since 1962. It became the place where the genre stayed alive when the rest of the world wasn't paying attention. On Fat Tuesday, Mamou runs the Courrier de Mardi Gras, a costumed, masked procession on horseback that rides from farm to farm, begging for ingredients to make a communal gumbo. Participants wear tall, conical hats called capuchons, a tradition carried over from medieval France. It has nothing to do with the Mardi Gras you see on TV. Number 11, DeRidder. Population, around 9,850. In 1914, when Beauregard Parish was newly formed, residents built a jail in collegiate Gothic style. Tudor arches, ornamental towers, pointed windows. A 1923 Popular Mechanics article compared it to a grand mansion. Historians believe it may be the only penal institution in the country built in that style. Inside, a spiral staircase leads up to gallows on the third floor. In 1928, 2 men convicted of murdering a taxi driver were hanged there, the only execution in the building's history, earning it the permanent nickname, the Hanging Jail. It's on the National Register of Historic Places and open for tours. The town also sits in what was once called Louisiana's No Man's Land, a lawless, neutral strip between U.S. and Spanish territory after the Louisiana Purchase. Number 10. Avery Island. This place is home to only about 120 people. When you look at its size, that comes to about 1 person per 17 square miles. Astonishing. And most of them are McElhenney Company employees. And it's not actually an island. Avery Island is a salt dome that rises 163 feet above the surrounding marshland. The salt column underneath is believed to extend deeper than Mount Everest is tall. In 1868, Edmund McElhenney started making pepper sauce here from capsicum peppers, Avery Island salt, and French white wine vinegar. His first 658 bottles sold in 1869 at $1 each. Today, the factory fills 700,000 bottles per day, shipped to over 195 countries. The conservation story. In the 1890s, plume hunters had nearly wiped out the snowy egret to supply feathers for women's hats. Edward McElhenney gathered 8 surviving egrets, raised them on the island, and released them. By 1911, the colony had grown to over 100,000 birds. Bird City is still active today, alongside the 170-acre Jungle Gardens. Number 9. Eunice. Population around 9,400. Every Saturday morning, Savoy's Music Center opens for an informal jam session. No tickets, no stage, just musicians sitting in a circle with accordions and fiddles. Saturday evenings, the 1924 Liberty Theater hosts Rendezvous des Cajuns, a live Cajun music radio and TV broadcast running since 1987, described as Louisiana's version of the Grand Ole Opry. Eunice also houses the Cajun Music Hall of Fame. The Courrier de Mardi Gras here is one of the largest in the state. The same horseback tradition, the same medieval capuchon hats, kept alive for 3 centuries in the middle of the Louisiana prairie. Number 8. Ponchatoula. Population about 7,800. The name comes from a Choctaw word meaning flowing hair, referring to the Spanish moss on the oaks here. Ponchatoula declared itself the strawberry capital of the world in 1968 and hosts one of the largest free harvest festivals in Louisiana every April, drawing around 300,000 people to a town of under 8,000. The downtown Pine Street district is lined with antique shops in restored buildings, earning it the nickname America's Antique City. Just outside town sits Manchac Swamp, sometimes called the Zombie Swamp. A local folk healer named Julia Brown reportedly cursed the area before she died in 1915. A hurricane swept through on the day of her funeral and wiped out several surrounding communities. Number 7. Rayne. Population 7,000. In the late 1800s, Jacques Weil started exporting live bullfrogs from Rayne to restaurants in France. By the 1940s, the Louisiana Frog Company was shipping over 500,000 frogs per year. Restaurants in New York and Paris put "Frog legs from Rayne, Louisiana, frog capital of the world" on their menus, and the name stuck. In 1970, 2 Rayne bullfrogs were launched into orbit by NASA to study how weightlessness affects the inner ear. Today, the town has over 100 frog statues, 24 murals, and an annual frog festival every May. St. Joseph Cemetery here is listed in Ripley's Believe It or Not, believed to be the only Christian cemetery in the U.S. where graves run north to south after the church was accidentally relocated in the wrong direction in 1882. Number 6. Grand Isle. Population, about 1,000 year-round, swelling to 20,000 in summer. Grand Isle is Louisiana's only inhabited barrier island, 8 miles long, less than a mile wide, and hit by a tropical storm or hurricane on average every 2.7 years since 1877. Hurricane Betsy in 1965 put the whole island underwater. Katrina sent a 6 to 10 foot surge over it. Hurricane Ida hit in 2021 as a Category 4 with 150 miles per hour winds. Most homes are on stilts up to 15 feet high. Louisiana has lost 2,000 square miles of coastal land since the 1930s, and sea level here rises at 4 times the global average. The island keeps rebuilding. Kate Chopin used Grand Isle as the setting for her 1899 novel, The Awakening, after spending summers here. Nearby Queen Bess Island is where the brown pelican, Louisiana's state bird, was pulled back from extinction in the 1960s. And now we come to the top 5, starting with a town named Opelousas, with a population of around 16,000. Louisiana's 3rd oldest city, founded in the mid-1700s. It served as the temporary state capital during the Civil War, when Baton Rouge fell to Union forces, and Jim Bowie lived here for a period. Clifton Chenier grew up near Opelousas and created modern Zydeco by fusing old Creole la-la music with rhythm and blues. He also designed the frottoir, the vest-style washboard that became Zydeco's signature sound. Before Chenier, there was no Zydeco. He won a Grammy in 1983, performed at the White House in 1984, and Mick Jagger has credited him as a major influence. The Louisiana legislature designated Opelousas the Zydeco Music Capital of the World in 2000 and declared June 25th Clifton Chenier Day in 2021. Opelousas is also where Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning comes from. Number 4. St. Martinville. Population around 5,400. In the early 1800s, St. Martinville was known as Le Petit Paris. It had a French opera house, fine hotels, and a theater that drew Haitian Revolution exiles and French aristocrats who had fled the Reign of Terror. Today, it's best known for the Evangeline oak, a tree on Bayou Teche marking the spot where, by local tradition, 2 Acadian exiles reunited after the British expelled the Acadians from Nova Scotia in 1755. Their story became the basis for Longfellow's 1847 poem, Evangeline. The tree draws 15,000 to 20,000 visitors a year, and the local justice of the peace reportedly performs about 2 weddings beneath it every week. St. Martin de Tours Catholic Church nearby has records of religious services going back to 1756, one of the oldest Catholic churches in America. St. Martin Parish has the highest percentage of French speakers of any parish or county in the entire country. And to kick off the top 3, we're starting off with Breaux Bridge. Population about 7,600. The Louisiana legislature designated Breaux Bridge the crawfish capital of the world in 1959. The town was founded in 1829 by a 33-year-old widow named Scholastique Picou Breaux, who drew up the town plan herself. The name came from directions locals gave each other. Go to Breaux Bridge, a footbridge her family had built across Bayou Teche in 1799. The town phone directory lists residents by nickname. Entries like Corn Cob Castle and T-Boy LeBlanc, going back to at least the mid-20th century. Lake Martin, just outside town, is the largest nesting colony of wading birds in the entire country. Nearly 30% of residents still speak French. Number 2. St. Francisville. Population about 1,500. St. Francisville started as a burial ground for Spanish Capuchin monks and is the second oldest town in Louisiana. Before the Civil War, the surrounding area had more millionaires per square mile than anywhere else in America, all tied to cotton plantations along the Mississippi. The most famous is the Myrtles Plantation, built in 1796 by General David Bradford, a Pennsylvania lawyer who led rebel forces during the Whiskey Rebellion of 1794, fled south after President Washington ordered his arrest, and obtained a Spanish land grant to build here. He lived on the plantation alone until President Adams pardoned him in 1799. The Myrtles is widely considered one of the most haunted houses in America, featured on Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures. The one documented murder there was William Drew Winter, shot on the front porch in 1871, never solved. It operates today as a bed and breakfast. And our number 1 spot goes to Natchitoches, population around 19,000. Pronounced Natchitoches. That will come up if you visit. Natchitoches is the oldest permanent European settlement in the Louisiana Purchase territory, founded in 1714 by French explorer Louis Juchereau de Saint-Denis, 8 years before New Orleans. When the Red River changed course in the 1830s and cut the town off from its main waterway, the local economy stalled, and most of its historic architecture was never demolished or replaced. Café Frederick General Mercantile on Front Street has been open since 1863, the oldest operating general store in Louisiana. Steel Magnolias was filmed entirely here in 1988, written by local native Bobby Harling, based on the true story of his sister, who died from diabetes complications. On September 20th, 1973, Jim Croce performed at Northwestern State University here. His plane went down shortly after takeoff from the Natchitoches Airport. He was 30. The Christmas Festival of Lights has run on the riverfront every year since 1927. That's our list. If you're from Louisiana, drop a comment. Tell us which town we missed, or which one you'd rank differently. Subscribe if you haven't. There are a lot more small towns still to go through.